Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining today's wellness webinar. Today, we are going to be looking at fibre, which is an extremely important nutrient within our diet, which I'm sure we have all heard of. So I'm Katrina, I'm working within ESS, and I'm a registered associate nutritionist, and I'll be hosting today's webinar. I encourage you to ask any questions you have throughout today's webinar through the Q&A box function, and I shall answer them all at the end for you. So today I'll be providing you with a very short webinar, but it's going to be a snapshot of what dietary fibre is, why it is so important for our overall health and well-being, where we can get fibre from in our diet, an example of a day's intake to help you achieve the recommended amount, and also my top tips and swaps to increase your fibre intake, as we should all be aiming to eat a little bit more of this nutrient. The reason why we are looking into fibre as a key nutrient is because it's Bowel Cancer Awareness Month, and fibre plays a massive role in maintaining our digestive system's health. So what is dietary fibre? Fibre is a type of carbohydrate. It is known as a complex carbohydrate. So you may have heard a difference between complex and simple carbohydrates, and this one is a complex one. It's found in plant cells, which cannot be digested or absorbed by the small intestine. So therefore it passes through our gut into our large intestine while it keeps its structure. And two terms that you may have heard of is soluble or insoluble fibre. And these are different terms to use to explain what different types of fibre are within our diet. So soluble fibre dissolves within your digestive system, and it's digested by good bacteria within the gut. And this type of fibre will help soften your stools and makes it easier for it to pass. And insoluble fibre refers to fibres which are not dissolved within the gut and are not digested. So a good example may be sweet corn. It obviously comes out the same way as it will go in. It is important to remember that actually just because the body is unable to digest certain foods, it does not mean that they're bad for us or that we're not benefiting from us. Obviously with fibre, it is beneficial. Now, to obtain both soluble and insoluble fibres, it's recommended to have a mix of different types of fibre to benefit our health and well-being. So why is fibre so important? Why is it that it's key we're getting enough within our diet? So fibre has been seen to keep our digestive systems healthy and in check, as well as preventing constipation. It may also help to reduce specific illnesses and diseases. So the second report on carbohydrates and health made the following conclusions. So it suggested that fibre may be beneficial in reducing your risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. And this is because of a specific type, beta gluten, which is found in foods such as oats and barley. And it's said that if you consume 3 grams or more a day of this, it can reduce your cholesterol levels and thus reduce cardiovascular disease risk. Also, fibre can help to control blood sugar levels after a meal, as it lowers glycemic index. So what this means, if there's a lower glycemic index, the sugar from the food trickles into our bloodstream rather than it being completely dumped. So it can help manage and control our blood glucose levels. Also, it's been seen to be beneficial to our digestive health. This is because fibre, particularly found in foods such as onions, leeks, wheat, oats, pulses, are a good source of food for the good bacteria within our gut, which helps keep our gut health healthy. Now, the relationship between the gut bacteria, diet and health is very complex, and it is still very emerging evidence and field. But what does seem clear, if you're getting enough fibre from a variety of different sources, that actually it can benefit our digestive health and also benefit or reduce our risk of other diseases and illnesses too. Also moving on to look specifically at bowel cancer, because obviously it is Bowel Cancer Awareness Month, and how fibre can help within that aspect of our health. So it's suggested that high fibre intakes is linked to reduced risk of bowel cancer as it helps the movement of food through the gut. So actually consuming fibre will speed up the transit time of our waste within our digestive system, meaning that carcinogens, which are wanting to cause damage to cells, actually are moved out a lot quicker. Also, it may protect against weight gain, so it can help us feel fuller for longer, um, meaning that perhaps we might eat less and therefore obviously may lose weight or help us to maintain a balanced weight. And also fruits and vegetables which contain fibre also contain antioxidants, and antioxidants help to delay or prevent cell damage. So it is important to try and achieve 5 per day. So now we know that fibre is extremely important for our health and well-being. Where is it that we can get it from, and how much do we need? So it is recommended that we get at least 30 grams of fibre per day for adults, so anybody over the age of 16. For younger individuals, it does range depending on age group between 15 grams per day to 25 grams per day. So we don't necessarily our little ones don't necessarily need to be having the same amount as what we are consuming. They will need slightly less. Now, fibre can be found in a number of different foods, including whole grain breads, pastas, rices, cereals such as shredded wheats, Weetabix, bran flakes, and so on, but also in beans, pulses, lentils, chickpeas, fruits and vegetables, specifically with the skin on, because that's where the fibre is stored. Also nuts and seeds. So we can see we get fibre from a lot of different foods within our diet. It's just making sure we're getting enough and making the correct choices so that we reach that 30 grams per day. If you are wanting to increase your fibre intake, it is recommended to do so gradually. Otherwise, actually, you may see some side effects of that, may experience some gut issues such as bloating and gas, which can be painful. So do just do it gradually. Make sure you drink plenty of water to keep your bowel moving and to actually prevent constipation. And also it is advised to be physically active to again promote the movement of bulk through your digestive system. So if your aim is after this webinar to increase your fibre intake, do also consider those other parts within your lifestyle too. So what does 30 grams of fibre in our diet look like? So here we have a very standard daytime or daily intake. This is an example of somebody who is having a low fibre diet. So this individual is only getting 11.2 grams, which is obviously under that 30 grams per day. And some of these items may look very similar to what you would have in your daily intake. So you've got toast with jam, a yogurt, we've got tomato pasta, cream crackers and cream cheese, and grilled chicken with mashed potato and carrots. Now we can think about how can we make that not completely changing your diet, but actually making small swaps to make it higher in fibre. And here is an example of a diet which is higher in fibre. So this one contains 44.4 grams, which is fantastic. We're meeting that recommended of at least 30 grams of fibre per day. And this has just been by making small swaps. So we're having a whole orange instead of orange juice, as we've got all that pulp, which contains all of the fibre. We're using wholemeal toast and higher fibre spreads such as peanut butter instead of jam. We're adding nuts, seeds and fruits which contain fibre into some of our snacks. So it's important to remember we're not just removing things from our diet, but actually adding things to our diet will help us to achieve that 30 grams per day. For lunch, again, we're choosing whole wheat pastas, lentil and tomato based sauces. For a snack, instead of your normal crackers and cheese, we're going for rye crackers and hummus. We've got that whole grain, as well as that protein sourced chickpeas and so on. And then finally, again, for our dinner, instead of mashing our potatoes, we're breaking down all that fibre before it gets into our bodies and we consume it. Instead, we're having a baked potato with the skin on, so we're still consuming where that fibre is contained. And again, we're adding more vegetables to first of all help us achieve the amount of fibre that we need, but also increase our fibre to reach our 5 a day. So hopefully you can see that actually we're not completely changing our diet, it's just small swaps to help us achieve that. So what are my top tips to increase your fibre intake? So 1, try and make changes to some of your staple starchy carbohydrates in our diet. So swapping sugary cereals for bran flakes, Weetabix, shredded wheat, going for brown varieties of bread, rices and pastas, and so on. We don't have to be going completely from white to brown varieties. We can go 50-50 to begin with and gradually get to where we want to be. Like we say, we don't want to instantly up our intake of fibre as it can cause some issues. Add pulses to dishes. So examples can include chickpeas, lentils, beans and pulses. Not only will this increase our fibre content, but also actually it's a source of protein. This is not to say that we should now be eating fully vegetarian dishes, such as a chickpea curry, but actually could you add some lentils in along with your mince to make a shepherd's pie or whatever it may be. So just altering the percentages of what you're putting into your dishes. Number 3, making sure you're actually achieving your 5 a day. This can be made easy. It doesn't mean that we have to be having 5 pieces of fruit or 5 raw pieces of vegetables. They can be incorporated, so actually having fruit as a dessert or a fruit-based dessert, having plenty of frozen vegetables available. So first of all, it's not going to waste, but also we can just chuck that into dishes, be casseroles, chilies, or whatever it may be. Tip 4 is to keep skins on. So that's where the majority of our fibre is going to be stored. So potato skins, making sure you're keeping, if you're making chips or wedges, you keep the skins on, having a baked potato over mashed potato, having a whole fruit with the skin on rather than it blended up and smoothied down and so on. And finally, snack wisely. We can make alterations to what snacks we're having to increase our fibre intake. So rather than grabbing crisps or a chocolate bar, choosing fruit, vegetable sticks, rye crackers, oat cakes with hummus, unsalted nuts and seeds can help us boost our intake too. So hopefully that was obviously a quick snapshot of what fibre is. We have had a few questions come through, so I'll just run through the last few parts and then I'll move on to answering your questions. So just to conclude, fibre is found in the foods that we eat. There are different types of fibre, don't really need to worry too much about the different types, but actually if we aim for a varied and balanced diet, we should be getting enough of each. As a nation, we do need to increase the amount of fibre that we're consuming. On average, we fall below that 30 grams per day. And you can see that actually making small dietary changes can help you achieve that amount. It is important to consider that this is a key nutrient. We often think about carbohydrates for energy, vitamins and minerals for our immune system, calcium and vitamin D for bones and so on. Fibre needs to be also included by looking after our digestive system and the role that it actually may have in reducing our risk of diseases. And finally, we can all make those small changes to increase our fibre intake. I have just included a couple of links there. So if you are interested to find out a little bit more specifically about bowel cancer, there is information in our newsletter, but also provided the NHS website and Bowel Cancer UK if you want to find out a little bit more about diet or just anything else about bowel cancer symptoms and support and so on. So if you do want to find out more, just a reminder of what we have available. We have the wellbeing board. So if you are on a site which has a wellbeing board, making sure you're using those leaflets, they'll obviously be in line with national and international health and wellbeing campaigns. If your sites don't have one, please do get in touch because it does provide you with lots of different resources for our clients and customers too. We have our monthly newsletters, wellness webinars, which obviously you've all dialed into today, social media, on Instagram and YouTube, and also our wellness inbox, which is ess.wellness@compass-group.co.uk. So if you ever have anything to do with nutrition, health, wellbeing, please do get in touch. So as I mentioned, there are a few questions, so I will just go through and answer them, and then we'll close off. So the first one is, can you have too much fibre? So certainly there can be some problems if you consume too much fibre, especially, as I mentioned, if you increase your uptake quickly over a very short period of time. And the main problem is because fibre binds to water in our digestive system to create that bulk, which is obviously our waste. And the main problem arises when we actually don't drink enough water alongside increasing our fibre, leading to hard and bulky stools, which do lead to problems such as bloating, gas, abdominal pains, and so on. So really important, increasing fibre and also hydrating yourself correctly, reaching that 6 to 8 glasses of fluid per day is really important. As a guidance, it is advised that an average adult does not consume over 70 grams of fibre per day, which, as you can imagine, is actually probably quite hard considering we're not even reaching the 30 grams. And even with that example, daily intake, you're still only getting 42, so it may be quite hard to reach. So you can definitely have too much, but obviously drinking water alongside it will hopefully help to balance that out. And the next question, the final question we had is, can eating more fibre help me lose weight? So as mentioned, fibre can actually help us feel fuller for longer, and therefore it may lead to us consuming less food and actually therefore leading to weight loss. However, weight loss is a product of multiple attributors, so just because we're increasing our fibre content does not mean that obviously other things are forgotten about. So we would need to ensure that we're still having or achieving a negative energy balance, so actually we're not consuming too many calories. We need to make sure we're being active, that we're sleeping well, and actually we're also managing stress, as all of these can affect our weight. So we can't just rely solely on increasing our fibre to lose weight, unfortunately. It's all about balance and looking at our overall health and well-being. So hopefully those questions were answered. We've not got any more through. So what I'll do is, obviously you've got the email address there. If you do have any questions, please do drop us an email. I'll be happy to respond as soon as we can. So thank you very much for listening. Hopefully it was insightful, short but a quick snapshot of what you needed to know, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks everybody. Goodbye.